The following is brought to you by VerticalVet. Rethink your GPO.
Hello again, I'm Dr. Ernie Ward, Executive Director of Education for VerticalVet, and it's my great honor and privilege to spend some more time with you today. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I think too often we just sort of think is very simple, and that is our website design. How do we promote ourselves and our services to the pet parents in the world? And so while most of us have a website, most of us even have an online store, are we optimizing it? And so today we've got an expert who's going to talk to us about how do we digitize our veterinary practice model. Now, there's a lot to unpack in that simple little phrase, but how can we take everything that we've done in the real world and somehow translate that to a virtual setting, not only to make it easier for our clients to book appointments and purchase products, but to grow our practices. And so today we are thrilled to be joined by the CEO and founder of Vizisites, one of the VerticalVet partners. And Jesse Davis, I got to tell you, I am so excited about this conversation. I've been waiting eagerly for this. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Ward. Let me just say, I'm very excited and thankful for the opportunity to add value to the Business Academy. There's no doubt it's a culmination of years of hard work and dedication to get us to this stage. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. And listen, one of the things I want to make sure our VerticalVet members are aware of, I know you're aware of it, but the pandemic has really accelerated and changed the way pet parents interact with veterinarians and pet care professionals. I mean, we really, in the space of a little over a year, went from almost everything being in person and coming into the shop and buying stuff or stopping by the clinic and picking up meds to suddenly almost everything is being dropped off on the doorstep. And that has tremendous implications moving forward. I mean, Jesse, I don't see people somehow going back to the old ways, this convenience factor, the amount of choices that they're able to access. I mean, I think, Jesse, these changes are here to stay.
100%, Dr. Ward. You hit the nail on the head. Basically, we've accelerated everything that's digital under the sun. This goes for all industries. There's some wonderful stats I'll share with you guys. And, the idea of Vizisites, though, if you look at it as a model, it was formed many years ago. So I have personally around 15 years launching veterinary verticals, Vet Matrix, ProSites, some of those names are familiar. But basically, in that experience, I was able to kind of see the gaps in the industry, so to speak. And, this hard work, the ups and downs of growing these verticals led to me believing that I would be able to start my own company. So essentially, Vizisites is a second generation internet marketing company here in San Diego, which San Diego is a hub for digital agencies. Yeah. And it was created to solve the problems within the veterinary industry. And so we're a disruptor of sorts, if you will. Our core values are founded primarily in integrity, emotional intelligence, strong work ethic, like most companies. But really what we love the veterinary industry because they're rooted in their purpose. This is a lifelong dream many times when they're children. And so that's something that at the end of the day, when we provide value and we're helping them with their vision and scaling their companies, their businesses, their practices, there's nothing better than that, right? So it allows us to, sleep well, get up with the same kind of purpose, and we just absolutely love this industry.
And Jesse, that's exactly why we at VerticalVet are so happy to partner with you. Your passion, enthusiasm, and deep experience, really brings so much of assets to our team. And so what I want to start off with is first of all, you do have a wealth of information and experience. I mean, you've worked in human healthcare, you've worked in dental websites. I mean, you've really real estate, I believe. I mean, your CV is pretty long, my friend. But, tell us what makes Vizisites unique, because let's face it, every day I get an email from some company saying, hey, we can do your website for $99. We can do this or that, and I think a lot of vets are starting to consider all of these as the same. Like, oh yeah, they just put my website up there. But Vizisites is a little different.
I agree with that statement fully. I mean, if you look at the fundamentals of business, right, we have a balance sheet, you have COGS or cost of goods. Many times the actual work that's needed, this consultative effort on the front end of the relationship It's pretty deep. You have to spend a lot of time getting to know these practices, getting to know the intent. What do they want to do growth wise, and also, what is their vision exactly? And so when you look at the balance sheet, these are rather large expenses. And so software as a service is the model that these agencies are involved in, Vizisites as well. Now, recurring revenue, the monthly recurring revenue, when you look at that, you're wanting, of course, for it to be those averages to be high, right? So what we found in the past, when we talk about templates, we talk about business cards in the sky, and we talk about turnkey, is that the business or the agency, the digital marketing agency, has been focused mostly on making sure that these things are automated. Now imagine that.
Right.
The success of the business, the details of a veterinary practice and your dreams are now turnkey. So what Vizisites said is, let's go ahead and offer a deep consultative approach. We're data centric. We're going to gather intelligence. And then what we're going to do is we're going to digitize your business model. And so, like you said, Dr. Ward, there's a lot that goes into that. There's different categories. But what makes Vizisites different is that we truly do care about these business owners. And we're a family business. So we're a small business, small to medium, SMB, but we're a family business. And so, like I said, we're also in our purpose, and we love nothing more than to figure out how we can move the needle for you. And one example I could give you real quick is that we had a startup, 2 veterinarians, and of course, they're looking to accelerate quickly. They have a budget. By the way, we can do this in the realm of something that's affordable, right, and scale up. So 2 doctors is really like one tech, kind of, a slim unit there, but they move the needle to 10 doctors, 35 staff members over a 5-year period with us. And so that's what makes us different. To be honest,
that type of exponential growth, Jesse. You can't convince me that is not due in large part to their online presence. I mean, that's just because that is how pet parents today interact with any business or service. I mean, they go straight to Google. They want to see your hours, your location. Can I book an appointment? How much is it going to cost? What do you do? And so that kind of growth, if you are, no matter what size practice you are today, you really owe it to yourself to critically evaluate what kind of return are you getting on your website. Because honestly, you can have pretty pictures, you can have updated hours and maps, but Jesse, that is literally not even the tip of the iceberg. That's like the tippity top of a huge opportunity that we may be missing out on.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we're in business to make money. And that money is a symbol of value, and it fuels or supports our vision. And so when we talk about perception of value, this is very important, because as I was helping ProSites to scale their veterinary vertical, as you mentioned earlier, I was privy to the human side, specifically dental marketing. And what I realized is that there was a 5-year gap. Okay. So when we look at the 5-year gap, the fundamentals of that are, of course, in the design, what the perceived value was of that design, the expectations, and of course that led to the standard of care, right? So I saw that and I said, why did dentists demand so much more? Why are the prices so much higher? And why are some of the leading internet marketing companies not coming into the veterinary space? I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. And what I'd like to do is share some fundamentals of proper website design and marketing. And so we just start with the look and feel of the website, something so basic, but I'll tell you what, it's profound when you compare it to some of these other markets. Our goal, Vizisites' goal, my personal goal, is to bridge the gap and bring this industry up to meet the standards so that we're racing and we're in line and we can win compared to some of these other industries.
Jesse, that's such a good point. And it's a bit baffling, right? Because dentistry honestly doesn't need a robust, rich website experience. I mean, let's be honest, the amount of services they're offering, the amount of products that they can sell are pale in comparison to what a veterinary clinic. And yet you're right, when you go out and peruse dental websites, they are kicking our fannies all the way home. I mean, so you're bringing some of that deep expertise, but let me ask you this, in your opinion and experience, where most current vet clinic websites missing the mark? Where are the big gaps that you keep talking about, and where are the big opportunities?
I think, the elephant in the room, I think we both know, and I think most veterinarians right now, whether they're young or old, they all agree that it starts with the look and feel of the design. And sadly, when we peruse the internet and we type in the keyword veterinarian in any city in the United States, we're going to see examples like the example that I'll show right now. And the idea is that what we're focused on is going to be branding. Okay, there's a reason that Pepsi or Coca-Cola or some of these major brands will drop anywhere from 100K to $1 million just on a logo. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be something that right. But the idea is, though, if we take the mindset of these higher level corporate entities and we say, veterinarians, they do deserve to have a branding initiative. You see on the screen, Lost Key Animal Clinic. We're not going to name vendors. We're not even going to really talk about where this is in the country. But as the slide starts to roll through, you're going to see the branding. There's an aqua element, as you can see here. There's red, there's yellow, there's blue. There's a certain kind of typography or fonts that are used. And of course, most important is the custom element, right? You have the silhouette of the dog and the cat. So what we're noticing about this is that this was photocopied, literally photocopied from a business card probably, okay? And so what does this do for the clinic? Well, they're working with now a green template. So this design I was able to find all over the internet, and green, this particular color green, is not worked into their branding at all. So imagine if we did something like this. We took the actual colors from the website, which this is difference. Foundational. This does not cost anything. Seriously, this doesn't cost anything. This is foundational. It starts with the logo. And by the way, the logo oftentimes, it starts at the kitchen table with the family. Isn't it true? You have a vision, you graduate from veterinary school, right? Long, laborious education. And now you sit at the table and you start to discuss with your kids and grandma and grandpa this amazing prospect of servicing your community. And you start to draft up a logo, and the kids and different folks inside of the family, they have recommendations. And now you have this beautiful logo. That's what it represents. So having said that, we look at the colors, and a graphic designer would look at these and say, okay, maybe we can add one or two more layers in terms of colors. You have the typography here. Some of the fonts or combinations of fonts, which is equal to typography, those fonts might be custom. So an agency like ours needs to find the closest font possible. And then we start to use those fonts throughout the website, and that offers cohesiveness, right? And so when you look at the stats, and these stats are from 2021, so these are really solid stats, 40% of users will not engage with a website that isn't mobile friendly, right? So it has to be mobile friendly. We'll get into that. But 30% of users will switch devices, and 38% will stop visiting the website if the content is too long. So really what this is about is it's about consolidating your efforts into a sleek design that's going to represent the vision and the practice perfectly. So as I scroll through,
one quick thing about that last example, what I really also liked is it looks to me like from your design elements that there were really two things that they were trying to answer quickly. That is, what do we do? Is there's an about us, and where are we? Get directions. And so how does that factor in, so answering those questions? Because to me, when I land on a page, I've got an idea of what I'm trying to do. And like if it's Amazon, I want to buy a book or buy something, right? If it's going to my dentist, for example, I want to book an appointment. So how do you factor in that? Like, how do you determine, I guess is the first question, what should go on that first landing page, the quick, hit one button and you get the answer. And number two, how can you expand that? Because that's about us and directions, but what if I wanted to book an appointment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back in the day, right, 2009, when I was at iMatrix and scaling Vet Matrix, we might have been influenced by competitors' websites. We might have been influenced by another veterinary website that we saw and would say, let's go out and copy that. That is the game plan back then. That was the game plan. Today it's different. I can't speak for other agencies, but what we're looking at is we're looking at data. So it's not any data though. We're not just jumping into Google Analytics. And by the way, that's a horrible decision to give the username and password to a doctor or office manager to go into Google Analytics and have to digest something that
Right.
they simply don't have time for. Okay, so what we do to create the websites is we start to look at pet parent behavior online.
Right.
What are they interested in exactly? So it used to be more about, okay, doctor, yes, I can do that for you. And we would just do it, to now we challenge the veterinarian, we challenge the
Why? Why do you want to do
business owner.
that? And what's the
Yeah,
return going
why?
to
And
be? Yeah.
perfectly said. So having said that, if you look at request appointment, right, and you look at contact us, and you look at the phone number, yes, those are, three different categories. These are three different ways to connect with the business. Now, do I want to request an appointment though? Right? That's something that you have to understand. Not everybody wants to request an appointment. So if we, are looking at this particular website here and we minimize this, down into this mobile look and feel, okay? So this is about, like, let's say an iPhone, a Droid. What you're noticing is that there's a phone number, but there's no appointment request or contact us. The difference between contact us and appointment is pretty broad, right? Like if I want to get in touch with you and I want to just ask a general question about the operation, I might shoot over a contact us, right, form. If I'm the type of person that doesn't really want to spend my time because I'm a professional, I might call in right away. But here's the thing, we can see that a lot of this is missing. It needs to be in the mobile menu, because when I look at the data, it's 70 to 80% of these visits are on mobile, many times iPhone or Android, right? So we can see that they're missing all of this important content here, these important links. Now, if we go back over here and we minimize this, and this is actually as a VerticalVet client, we can see we have appointments, we have the phone number, we have about us and directions. And so I would say, like, the hierarchy for sure is the services, then it's about us, meaning that's what's the priority is in terms of what's being clicked, right? And so sometimes what you want to do is you don't want to just say, okay, we're just going to have these things above the fold. They're going to be accessible, but we're not going to answer their questions, right? So
Right.
what you were referring to is you were referring to this area here, frequently asked questions. And so by design, most of the websites, they will focus on above the fold. That's up here, right?
Right.
Now, what we've noticed though is if you're able to tap in that consultative effort on the front end, if you're able to tap into the receptionist and the office manager and you say, what are the top 5 to 8 questions that are being asked over the phone? And what are the answers that are client facing, pet parent facing? Well, what you'll find is that this area of the website is most popular. It's most popular on the
Right.
entire website. That's a game changer for us.
Yep. Now, this style that you're referring to here, this is called accordion style. And I love that because it gives some transparency in pricing. It explains, what pets, I mean, and that sounds silly, but that's a big question asked by a lot of pet parents out there. What are your hours? But this accordion style, I think it's becoming more popular, but it's one of those little subtle elements that, especially in a mobile environment, is really foundational for ease of use.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 68% of companies now use mobile marketing as part of their marketing strategy. And the only
Wow.
way
Only
to do
68%.
that's 2021 as well.
Wow. So
So
that's a huge opportunity.
it's a massive opportunity. So if you look at the internet on whole, about 50%, and I think it's a little bit over that, and we're talking about the whole world, is unbanked and they're not online. Okay, now this is a massive opportunity, and we're talking about Africa. Okay, but
Right.
if you look at the United States, we have a lot of these companies, these agencies, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, they're more focused on the expenses in the balance sheet than lifting up, this it's an effort. You got to be able to lift up the
Right.
practice, roll up your sleeves and find out, okay, what's happening within the practice? What can we do to create some levers so there's efficiency? And so you might be looking at this, right? And you're saying to yourself, okay, well, why would I share my pricing? right? Like, why would I do something like that? I'm worried about that. And this is more about your unique business model. This is not a one size fits all. And that goes back to the consultative effort. So every single client that we're working with gets their own kind of representation online. And that's extremely important because let's say that you're in Florida and you're dealing with snowbirds. That's where your business comes from. Or you're on the West Coast in, say, Los Angeles, and you're in an affluent market, and they need the content to be set up in a particular way. So having your pricing on here actually correlates with maybe text to pay, right?
Right,
These are
right.
all new technologies.
So I think what we're establishing here is that Vizisites is a very different type of service. I mean, it's more of almost an agency, a boutique. I mean, it's a personalized service. And I think most vets are used to getting a template. You can choose from 4 or 5 different designs and you can put these different colors in. So walk us through what a typical experience looks like. So if I were to contract you, you know, at Seaside Animal Care, we now go and work with Vizisites. Kind of walk me through briefly the steps that you take to deliver a very functional website that's going to enhance and grow my business.
Absolutely. So it starts before we meet. And so W3C, or the Worldwide Consortium, right? That's W3C for short, is an international organization, and it creates standards, right? And these standards were actually developed by the founder and inventor of the web. Okay, so what that actually relates to is the code of the website. And so the code has to produce an experience for pet parents that is going to meet the standards of W3C. So let's use this as an example because this will be very impactful. We all know what ADA compliance is, right? American
Right.
Disability Act compliance. And so on most websites, you'll see a little icon in the bottom right-hand side, maybe on the left. What we have found is that the latest plugins for this American Disability Act requirement are not meeting the standards of the W3C.
Wow.
So right now as we're speaking, veterinarians are being served lawsuits.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to websites loading fast, that's also a W3C requirement. When it comes to those that are short of sight or have poor hearing, you know, depth perception issues, maybe they can't get close to a computer, right? They're disabled. These are all things that we need to be aware of. And so this is not on your plate. You don't have to worry about if your website is not up to standards. This is on our plate. So we're making sure that we look at the data to organize all of your content. We do a deep dive on your model. And then before we even get that content on the website, we're going to make sure that the website, the code of the website, it loads fast, that it is ADA compliant. And we're going through a massive initiative right now because we need to make sure that all of our sites are ADA compliant. And so when you look at the stats on this, it says 47% of internet users expect a web page to load in less than 2 seconds, 1% loss in revenue for every 100 milliseconds delay in page load time, right? And only it says here, 1% of websites are ADA compliant right now.
Wow.
1%.
Okay, so you
Right?
handle all of this compliance issues, make sure it loads and isn't conforming to other regs and so forth. So then what's the next step? Because now, you know, I get that and that's super hard work, but you know, honestly, I'm interested in how are you going to promote my wonderful hospital and my great techs?
Yeah, absolutely. And so really what we need to do is ask the question, are you interested in growth right now, or are you interested in efficiency? Those are two separate plays. Okay, so we can handle both at the same time. Let me give you kind of a strategy on that. Okay, so we go through the process of the consultative effort. We have the FAQs lined up. Your website loads fast. It's sleek. It's ready to go. Now, if we're talking about efficiency and you're operating at 120% right now capacity, you're probably turning down business. And I know a lot of you listening to this, you're nodding your heads. Yes, we are turning down business. A lot of practices are right now. So the idea is to have your hand on the dial in terms of marketing. How can I do that, right? Well, search engine optimization, or the technique of creating a website that's going to rank high organically, meaning not where the ads are, not where the map is, but below that. That's based on the ideal user experience. So when we're talking about fast load time, we're talking about the accordion style content with the FAQs. We're talking about consolidating all this content and providing it to that pet parent in a very user-friendly way, then of course you're going to rank higher. But we need to make sure that we have a dial that can be moved 50%, to the right, turn it all the way up, right? Or we can turn it all the way down. And so that's ads. That's Google Ads. And the example that I told you about our two doctor practice that then moved to 10 doctors, that's Google Ads. It allows you to scale up or down like on a dime.
Yeah,
Instantly.
And Jesse, I think a lot of vets also misunderstand Google Ads is incredibly cost efficient. I mean, it's almost the best bang for your buck that you can get when it comes to reaching prospective new clients. I mean, I haven't found anything even close.
Absolutely. And so the reason why is that, well, Google represents upwards of 90% of all the search volume, and then Bing and Yahoo come very, very low, like in the 2 percentile, right? And so having said that, if Google, we won't call it a monopoly, right? But we'll just say that they own the market share, fair enough. And so if they do, why would you not work with an agency that is proficient and certified by Google? You have to work with an agency that's certified by Google that knows how to optimize their platform.
Right, and that's you. So the first thing, of course, you ask the vet clinic, hey, do you want to try to grow right now, or are we trying to kind of maintain and enhance what we've got? So I get that. Now, what are the next steps that you do? You look at their logo, evaluate their logo, improve it maybe, or change it, or do you? I mean, what are the next steps?
Yep, that's a really good question. And so when you talk about the consultative effort, I would say look and feel, that happens first, okay? Because we need to basically have our clients sign off on the image of the website. So the image of a website is a mock-up. That's what it is. It's just a PDF. And a real digital agency will have a mock-up. It's kind of like the blueprint for the architect. They sit down with you, they look at the entryway, they go into the living room, and you sign off on all those things. Now, that would be an identifying quality of whether you're dealing with an actual agency or secretly this company has used WordPress templates and they haven't scaled those WordPress templates into something that's custom. And that's where it starts, to be honest. It starts there. And then once you get the doctor to sign off on that, or the office manager, then you go into content architecture. And that is the consultative effort of understanding the practice and then slimming down their content, FAQs, all the wonderful things that we're doing here using this new technology. From there, once the website goes live, we're looking at giving an appropriate amount of time to communicate to Google through Google tools, right? And we want to be able to use analytics and set all that up and let Google know, look, this practice has a brand new website. So you're going to be able to do that through Google's platform. And then once they know, we're going to go ahead and ask that particular site to be indexed. Once it's indexed, Google is going to say, okay, well, this does have the ideal user experience, this website, and we're going to rank it appropriately. It isn't until that website is ranking well and we've dialed that in that we're going to come in and offer a Google Ads consultation. And that's a whole nother ballgame on that.
And that's something too that's very exciting. But getting back to, we talked about what to identify to put on those big buttons, the easy access above the fold, as you mentioned. How do you determine that? At what stage do you say, okay, it looks like your clientele, maybe they are interested in booking appointments directly online. Maybe they want more access to the online store. I mean, I'm thinking of the ways that I can grow my practice very quickly, again, back to that growth mindset, or at least even shifting efficiencies, because we know that if we can shift people towards online purchases, that's going to give a little bit of a break to our CSRs up front. If we can shift the appointment scheduling, at least, half of it, even, a third of it, that's a third less work that our CSRs have to do, manning the phones and booking those appointments. So how do you identify if my clientele is interested in these additional services?
Absolutely. So again, this is data. So traditionally, what we would do is we would say, I have a great idea, just went to a conference, did a demo with said company, and I really like what they said, and we're going to do business, right? That's their traditional way of doing it. And so now what it is that as a company, we have all the data on all the companies. Because remember, the website is the centralized location for pretty much everything, the pharmacy, the portals, right? You name it, widgets for appointment requests. I can run through the data and I can tell you which companies are actually doing well. Now, there's a caveat there, though, right? Let's say that this website has been built like the one I showed you, the Lost Key Animal Clinic, and there's lots more like it, where your appointment request widget is hidden, your pharmacy is hidden, right? You have an upfront investment and a monthly investment with some of these, partners. And to say that these things are hidden means a loss in a percentage of revenue, right? What kind of implications does that have? Well, you're not going to hire the tech. You're not going to get the extra doctor. If the economy does start to go down, right? We see a retracement. Well, you know that you're going to lose. And so if we look at 2008 and we look at those that lost their business or got hit really hard, it was because they weren't set up for growth when the retracement happened in the economy. And so this has everything to do with data. And I know it's a larger picture, it's on macro, but I can't say this enough. You have to deal with an agency that can look at your website and say, well, all these important vendors, they're actually hidden. But let's take it further. We're going to go ahead and unhide them, but we have the data to show you which vendors are actually doing well in terms of the centralized location that the website provides to all of your partners.
And that leads me to another question that I often encounter, and that's vets saying, look, Ernie, I get it. You want to have a pretty website. You want to do all this and that. But really, I think that's a money suck. I don't think that I'm getting a return on my investment. And I'm going to say you're probably right. I mean, these people that are asking these types of questions and giving these types of answers, Jesse, they are not optimized for future growth. And I love what you just said, to protect against potential economic downturns. So let's talk about, how do you evaluate, is your website currently giving you a return on investment that is commensurate with what you're paying for it? Are there opportunities to grow it and enhance it? So how do you answer that question when that vet comes to you and says, okay, I got a website, man, it looks pretty. People seem to like it. It works. It doesn't break all the time. Why would I spend more money with you?
I love what you just said, Dr. Ward, because at the end of the day, most business owners are like, I just need a website, right? Like GoDaddy, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll pay $99 a month. I'll pay $100 a month. But what if I told you, though, that a digital agency would consult you on a regular basis? It's called an assessment. So if you're looking through this webinar to identify if the current digital agency partner or template company partner that you're with right now is doing their job, the number one way, the metric that you're going to be looking at is, do they offer you assessments? Do they have a body of work that you can lean on that indicates that, hey, they get it? There's a sense of urgency. You're multi-species doctors. You've been in practice for 20 years. This is your dream, right? And can you lean on that digital agency when it comes to the analytics portion? So when we're running an assessment, Dr. Ward, what we're doing is we're looking at the performance of every single link on the home page. So when we talk about that, when I showed you Seagrove's site and we were looking at the phone number, the appointment request, right? The contact. So let's just go back there real quick. So all of this is on mobile, but it's not good enough, to your point. Beautiful website, it's organized, FAQs. We have to continue to look at the data. So the data might suggest that you're receiving less phone calls through the website, because this is a click to call module right here. You can click it from your phone and you're going to go straight to the practice, and it's on mobile, right? But it may suggest that you're just not getting enough calls. And so we can look at that and perhaps we can say, okay, well, you're down about 10%. These calls, by the way, are coming from Google. They're not coming from Facebook, meaning that we're able to track the channels, the sales channels, the revenue channels, in terms of where are these calls coming from. And that's not just on calls, that's on any clickable area. whether it's appointments, whether it's your COVID-19 landing page, whether it's emergencies. So we have to evaluate. I would say, quarterly is a minimum. Quarterly is a minimum, right? If your agency is not doing that, then you're in trouble, because the website is a tool to accelerate performance in terms of revenue, and each element has to be totally digested, totally looked at and broken down.
Jesse, I love that you just reminded VerticalVet members, because if you're an owner or manager and you last looked at your website a year ago, you've just missed 4 quarters, arguably, of improvements, of growth, of making enhancements to make it easier for your clients. So, I mean, Jesse, it is so important to constantly be iterating. I mean, it is. During this past year, everything changed. And I'm going to tell you one other concern I have. It's not a concern. I think it's just going to be an observation, is that people are going to expect the same rapid rate of change moving forward. Like, they saw how much better video conferencing got, for example, during this pandemic, and they're going to expect it to get even better by the end of next year, even if there's not a global pandemic. Like, I think people's expectations just got ramped up a little bit, and that's going to directly apply to a vet website, to a vet service, whatever.
Well, I'll say this: there's never been a better time to be part of tech, right? Silicon Valley is the main hub. San Diego, if you look at the stats, this is a massive talent pool. Vizisites is very lucky to tap into this talent pool. There's no doubt, the digital marketing scene is huge here. Everybody knows that. And so we are tapping into that, and to support this accelerated growth. So to say that we're going to go back to normal, I think everyone knows that there is no normal anymore. What is normal? We're accelerating forward. So what does the future look like? I think that's the question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you deal with an agency that has the high level corporate strategies, where internally we're sitting in a boardroom and we're looking at pet parent data. So let me paint the picture, okay? So we have access right now to millions upon millions of pet owners using our platform. And it's there that we can dig into advanced analytics and make meaningful decisions for the practice. This doesn't mean you have to call us and engage in an hour-long conversation, because we know you don't have time. The goal here is to really provide customer insights, pet owner insights, and engagement. So we're dissecting the digital data to help gain a better understanding of the pet owner's pain points, right? The needs, the wants, and then we construct an environment that will facilitate that. Now, that's the future. So when we look at different categories, whether it is, let's say you want to have pet foods to purchase on your website, in the past, you would lean on a larger organization to do that for you, right? And their website might be not too good, right? So what we're saying today, and if I can share my screen real quick, I think you'll really like this. What we're saying today is that these larger organizations, you may have looked at them and said, I could never afford to build an e-commerce platform to sell my pet foods. I could never create this VIP wellness plan that has an algorithm in the back where I can select through, right? And I can go and put in my pet's name and the address, and we'll just go through this so that you guys can see. This was inspired by a huge market consolidator that has millions of dollars, right, to market. So look at that. Now you have a puppy plan. You have discounts there and annual savings, and this goes directly to your website. And down here, you have the ability to trigger the chart that gives you all the data to make an informed decision as a pet parent. This kind of technology is spawned or created from working with the doctor. So let me make something very clear here. The innovation, it doesn't come from Vizisites necessarily. It comes from the partnership that we forge with the practice owner. Okay, so what that means is that we're highly interested in understanding your problems. And through that, we're going to develop innovative products. Not to say it's all on the veterinary industry and the doctors to come up with the solutions, but we need to sit down at the table and we really need to understand what is it, that you're having a problem with. How are you suffering? And once we identify how you're suffering, we're not going to throw up a website and call it a day.
Right. Right.
We're going to develop a product that actually moves the needle for you. So the name of the game right now is efficiency. And the truth of it is that we don't have a crystal ball to say what's going to happen in the future, but we know that Vizisites is prepared through this data acquisition and working with you directly as a partner to perform on the highest level possible. We're going to bridge the gap, with the human side. We are going to do it. It's my life's work. It's my purpose. And the veterinary industry is the best place to get it done.
Oh, wow. And Jesse Davis, that is why VerticalVet is so thrilled to be partnering with you. Your passion, enthusiasm, expertise, and honestly, just your grit. You are the kind of person who is going to take that clinic and you're going to help them achieve whatever goals they set out to achieve with their website. So Jesse, again, thank you so much. Where can people go to find out more? I mean, obviously the website's been on the screen the whole time, but Vizisites.com, right?
Yeah, so Vizisites, everyone asks this question, what does it mean? It just means visible websites. Because if no one can find you, they can't have a user experience, right? So that's what it stands for. It's V like veterinarian, I, Z like zebra, I, sites like websites, Vizisites.com. And when you go there, make sure that you go to the About Us page, look at our board, look at who's behind the company, and I think that you'll see that this company is on an upward trajectory. It's on a rocket ship, right? This is a great time to get involved with Vizisites. No doubt you will be pleased with what we come up with.
Yeah, I can't second that enough. I mean, honestly, these are the kind of people that VerticalVet seeks out to partner because we want to bring it to you, the VerticalVet members, the absolute best in class. And Jesse Davis is definitely the guy to captain that rocket ship so that we can all succeed moving forward. So Jesse, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I really, really enjoyed this conversation.
I appreciate it. Like I said in the beginning of the phone call, this is a culmination of hard work, and this is the big stage to partner with VerticalVet and to be a part of, the story. Nothing better. It's our honor.
I only see great things for you guys. Well, VerticalVet members, thanks again for attending one of our just special Business Academy presentations. Again, Jesse Davis, CEO, founder of Vizisites, one of our preferred partners. So if you want to find out more on how you can get involved with Vizisites, just either contact us at verticalvet.com or talk to them directly at vizisites.com. Again, on behalf of the entire crew of VerticalVet, I am Dr. Ernie Ward. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Talk to you soon. Bye.